No way. The Pittsburgh Steelers just made another splash in free agency, signing a running back to pair with Jaylen Warren. After the departure of Najee Harris yesterday, the Steelers were in the mix for a running back, and they got their guy to pair with Warren for the time being, setting them up to draft a 1A running back in the 2025 NFL draft. And that's what I wanted all along, so I had no issue with this move. But let's break it down: who the Steelers signed, why they signed him, what he will do for this team, and what they still need to do at the running back position moving forward. First, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, Steelers Digest. We are a Pittsburgh Steelers YouTube channel that covers the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news, rumors, updates, and analysis here on Steelers Digest. 95% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel, so hit that sub button, and we will keep you in the loop as this offseason continues to roll on. A ton to talk about regarding our Steelers, a complete roster reshuffle by Omar after trading for DK Metcalf, which we did a video on. Najee Harris signed with the Chargers. We also did a video on that, and now the Steelers have found a replacement for the time being. We're not saying that this guy is going to be the number one running back on the roster, but he is a very good player, a good role player that is going to take on an increased role with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his name is Kenneth Gainwell. He won the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles as the number 2 running back to Saquon Barkley, our guy Saquon Barkley, but Gainwell is not a starting running back, and neither is Jaylen Warren in my eyes, which is why this move came as a very big surprise to me. I know that the Steelers still need a alpha running back, a number 1 back to replace the carries that they just lost with Najee Harris. He was a workhorse running back. He wasn't the greatest running back ever, but he got the carries. He got those hard yards. He ran through the tackles. The running backs the Steelers have on the roster right now absolutely cannot do that. Jaylen Warren is not going to run through the tackles. He is a guy that's going to be like a third down back, maybe a pass catching back. He's a good pass protector. Kenneth Gainwell is similar. He's a guy that's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. Cordero Patterson used to be a kick return specialist. Now he's well beyond his years, and maybe Kenneth Gainwell takes over that role for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The thing about Gainwell is he's very hard to evaluate because of his very limited playing time in Philadelphia. He had 16 catches for 116 yards as an all-around running back with the Eagles. They selected him out of Memphis. He was a mid-round draft pick. He has kick return experience, which is something I wanted to mention. 612 kick return yards in his career. The Steelers currently have Cordero Patterson, but I do think Gainwell is a better option for returning kicks. He's fresher legs, like this article says, and also a cheaper option than Cordero Patterson. So Steelers do need a kick returner. We've seen that time and time again where the kick returning hurts us. And now maybe Kenneth Gainwell can be that explosive guy to return kicks back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's just a little bit of running back depth. He doesn't necessarily have to be the starter. He has a lot to like about his games. The reason why this move surprised me is because we need a running back, and we go out there and sign another guy that's similar to Jaylen Warren. So that's why I'm just a tad bit confused. The original report was reported by NFL insider Jordan Schultz late last night. I was thinking about making a video for you guys, but we decided to wait till today because DK Metcalf is still a bigger storyline right now than a gadget running back, if you will. And no offense to Kenneth Gainwell, but he's not going to be some, workhorse stud running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just not going to be the case. That's why I'm a little bit upset about this signing, but at the same time, I understand he can bring a lot to the table. He could be a depth piece. You never have too much depth at the running back position, especially with all the injuries. You need to spread the carries out a little bit. As of right now, we have a 1A, 1B situation because Warren and Gainwell are pretty much the same guy. So if we don't draft a running back, which I would be very angry if we don't draft a running back, we are in a very weird position going into next season. The running back room should not be done right now. This should not be the running back room that we take into next season. We still need a running back 100%, but Gainwell has the numbers that as a backup running back, as a third down back, he is a solid option for the Eagles and now for us. The Eagles kind of revealed what they were going to do with Kenneth Gainwell back in the Super Bowl because whenever the time came that they were blowing the Chiefs out, which was fun to watch, by the way, they decided to go with Will Shipley instead of Kenneth Gainwell. And when they drafted Will Shipley, we kind of knew maybe the end was near for Kenneth Gainwell. Barkley and Shipley is a heck of a running back duo there in Philly, so they don't need Gainwell. We'll gladly take him because he is an upgrade over Cordero Patterson, but we still need a running back, man, and I'm not mad if we drop a running back in the first round. If Ashton Jeanty falls to the Steelers, this is a perfect scenario now. We get Ashton Jeanty, and then we have Jeanty, Warren, and Gainwell. And I like that running back room a lot more. if the Cowboys still go after him, even though they just signed Javonte Williams or some other team that needs a running back in the first round, then we get Cam Skattebo, who I made a video about a while back. You guys can check that video out. And if we get Skattebo, then I don't mind this move either. But Gainwell is not going to be a starter. That's what I don't understand. We bring in another running back that's basically the same prototype as Jaylen Warren. He might be a little bit bigger, not as wide as Jaylen Warren. Warren's a little bit bulkier. He can block a little bit better than Kenneth Gainwell. But they are both pass-catching third down backs. We don't need two. We don't need two. We need one. So the fact that we have two guys that basically play the same exact role, and maybe Gainwell returns some kicks back. Yes, he's a cheaper option than Patterson. What are we doing? You know what I mean? So unless the Steelers know, hey, we got our guy in the draft, we're going to get our guy in the draft, this is just kind of a depth move, okay, fine. That's why I'm okay with this. But at the same time that we're trying to make sense of this, it also just makes you scratch your head and be like, what are we doing right now, guys, right? Like Kenneth Gainwell. Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I don't have any problem with Kenneth Gainwell. The problem that I have is that we don't have a running back. We're trying to replace Najee Harris right now, guys, and we don't have a starter. We have Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. So, again, the draft is coming up. There's a perfect opportunity for us to draft the running back that we want, but I'm saying we have to do that or this is not going to cut it next year. It's just not going to cut it, and you can look at the numbers of Jaylen Warren. Nothing really too impressive. The guy's had injury issues in his career as well, so that's something to keep an eye out for with Jaylen Warren. He just can't stay on the field, and when he is on the field, he hasn't been good enough to be a starting running back in the NFL, and that's why it was a very curious decision by the Steelers to hang on to Warren. I would have just opted for resetting the entire running back room. If you're going to let Najee go, let Warren go as well, and Gainwell would have been a perfect replacement for Jaylen Warren. He would have been this big play guy, this elusive pass-catching back that could be your third down running back and play that exact same role as Jaylen Warren, maybe better. So now that you have Kenneth Gainwell, Warren becomes the starter unless you get another running back, and that's a scary thought for me as a Steelers fan, is that our starting running back could be Jaylen Warren. And I know a lot of you guys might like Jaylen Warren. I'm not the biggest fan of Jaylen Warren. I don't hate Jaylen Warren. I liked him as a number 2, but he's not a number 1. He never will be a number 1 running back in this league. So we need to find a running back in the draft, and it adds a little bit more pressure because now we have 2 positions of need, 2 of the most important positions on the offensive side of the ball, quarterback and running back, where we don't have a clear starter. And this is just bad news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So yes, we get Kenneth Gainwell. Yes, it's surprising. Yes, I'm going, no way, we got Kenneth Gainwell. All right, but guys, we don't have a starting running back. That's the problem here. Kenneth Gainwell is not a starting running back. Jaylen Warren is not a starting running back. This is a problem. This is a serious problem. I love Gainwell, and I'm glad he's on our team now, but we need a starter. We don't need a second fiddle guy. And now we have 2 second fiddle guys. Kenneth Gainwell is not going to log a ton of carries. He's not going to be a workhorse back. He is a gadget piece that you can utilize in your offense. Yes, he can be a weapon. So can Jaylen Warren. Fine, both of them can stay, but we need a workhorse running back. We need a Cam Skattebo. We need an Ashton Jeanty. Now that we're not signing anybody in free agency, we need a workhorse in the draft 100%. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers do sign a running back. I mean, that's not, out of the question. But I think at this point, you might as well just look at the future. And, we're getting a 5th round pick out of Memphis, in Kenneth Gainwell. You see the numbers. I mean, he hasn't done anything crazy in his career because he's always been a backup. And he will continue to be a backup. The Steelers tendered Jaylen Warren 2 days ago, so they decided to keep Warren. And then yesterday, so Monday they keep Warren. Tuesday they go get Gainwell, but also on Tuesday they lose Najee Harris. So, guys, our running back room is worse than it was last year because Najee's hard to replace. I know the O-line could be a problem with running the ball. Najee Harris, we've had one of the worst rushing attacks in the NFL for years now. That's why we need an alpha running back. Najee Harris was technically an alpha running back, but he wasn't good enough. We technically need a better running back than Najee Harris even. So bringing in Gainwell, all it does is put a little Band-Aid on the situation and get us a little bit more depth, but we still don't have a clear starter, which is a serious problem, and that's why you see the last line here. The Steelers may look to add further options at this position in the offseason, with the draft serving as the most likely pack, and I think they're alluding to Ashton Jeanty there. So that could be something to pay attention to. Gainwell can also boost the Steelers' lackluster kick return game. We talked about that a little bit ago, that he can do kick returning and punt returning for the Steelers. In 2024, he returned 18 kicks for an average of 25.3 yards. So very good. Better than Cordero Patterson, which is something we do need. So he's a cheap, affordable option, kind of an upgrade over Cordero Patterson, a younger and cheaper option than Cordero Patterson. And if that's really what Gainwell is going to be for us, just kind of a role player, great. That's fine. We still need a running back. That doesn't fix our problem here, guys. And then I talked about Gainwell being a big play guy, and it's really big play potential that he has, because look at the second line here in this article. Despite his profile, Gainwell hasn't been a big play back in the NFL. So that's a problem, because his longest play from scrimmage is 32 yards, and you saw what that offensive line has done for Philadelphia and how good they are, how well they made Miles Sanders look years ago. I love Miles Sanders, Penn State, but my point, okay, they've made running backs look really good, lackluster running backs, and if Gainwell has never broke more than a 32-yard carry, he's going to struggle in a Steelers offense where our offensive line is nothing compared to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. Will Shipley goes in the Super Bowl and runs one down the, I mean, Gainwell never did that for them, so it kind of makes me a little bit concerned about Kenneth Gainwell and not having that big play ability that he profiles to have. Based on his shiftiness, he should be a big play back, and he's not a big play back, and that's a problem. So it's a real concern that I have about how good Kenneth Gainwell actually is. And, he was a backup last year for a reason. He's going to be a backup for us, it looks like. Seriously limited opportunities, so you can't judge him all that much, but he doesn't change the Steelers running back room, and that's what this article says. The addition of Gainwell does very little to change the Steelers' need to replace Najee Harris. He's a nice player, adds some value. In terms of return game, depth at the running back position, a likely replacement for Cordell Patterson if he's released to save salary cap, but Pittsburgh scouted a ton of running backs in the 2025 draft and the NFL scouting combine, and we expect them to draft a playmaker when the time comes, and that's what we need. That's what we need to do. Gainwell can catch the ball. He's logged 20 catches in each of his first 3 seasons in Philadelphia, earning the Eagles' trust as a third down back. This is what Gainwell does. He is a third down pass blocker and pass catcher. His rushing totals were minimal behind Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Swift, Miles Sanders, all thrived in that system. Gainwell never broke a single big play behind that unbelievable offensive line, but he did average 5.5 yards per carry in the postseason back in 2022 for the Eagles, so that's a really good average yards per carry for a third down running back, no doubt about it. Obviously, what we're still trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're still trying to replace the man himself, Najee Harris. Love Najee. He was great for the Steelers, 1,000 yards automatic every year, regardless of the offensive line, regardless of the scheme. He wasn't a fit for us. I love Najee. I love what he did for us, but I think he'll be better in Los Angeles than he was in Pittsburgh. I really believe that. I think they have a better scheme for Najee Harris. Jim Harbaugh knows what he's doing over there in LA. He needed a guy like Najee Harris. Well, he got his running back. Najee Harris is going to be great for the Chargers, and we're going to watch him every week, and we're going to be mad that he's not a Steeler. But you have to remember, he just wasn't the right guy for our scheme. There's still running backs out there that we could go get that scream Pittsburgh Steeler, and I'm thinking Ashton Genty. I'm thinking Ken Scadaboo. There are running backs we could go get that could actually replace Najee Harris and be on these affordable rookie contracts and help our offense get even better than it already is. It's going to hurt to lose Najee, but if we can replace him with a rookie that's a stud, guys, I'm talking Genty. I'm talking Scadaboo. These guys might be better than Najee Harris. Only time will tell how the Steelers are able to fix this running back position and replace Najee Harris and account for all of those carries and the workhorse back that he was for the last few years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we are going to get another running back. It's guaranteed. There's no way we go into next season with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. It would make literally 0 sense to the Pittsburgh Steelers to do that. So let's look out for more signings. We'll keep you in the loop here on Steelers Digest. Anything that happens, we're going to talk about it. So thank you guys for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next episode here on Steelers Digest.